It's 6 p.m. here in Korea. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Che. Let's begin with the headlines. An increasing number of high-level North Koreans are choosing to defect to the south, pointing to the growing instability in the regime. South Korea's unemployment rate continues to be stubbornly high, especially among young people. We take a look at the underlying factors contributing to that trend, including major strikes and a corporate restructuring drive. Samsung revises down its operating profit estimate for the third quarter in anticipation the Galaxy Note 7 fiasco will hit the tech giant hard. The recent defections from North Korea were mostly by senior officials and members of the elite class. Two contributing factors to this trend, according to experts, could be increasing instability within the regime and the effects of the strongest UN sanctions by far. Our Connie Kim starts us off.
A series of high-profile defections from North Korea has garnered attention in recent months, with more senior officials deciding to come to the south. The question is the Kim Jong-un regime becoming more unstable than ever, or are the latest UN sanctions, the strongest on the regime thus far, having an effect? Recent data from Seoul's Unification Ministry shows that while the number of North Koreans defecting to South Korea has declined overall, the education level of the defectors is increasing. 1,036 North Koreans have entered the country this year through September, down from more than 2,700 in 2011. At the same time, the number of defectors with a university degree or higher has risen from 5.7% to 7.3% last year. These numbers seem to be reflected in the latest reports of defections from the regime. A group of North Koreans who are working in China defected in April after the current UN sanctions on North Korea were announced as punishment for the regime's nuclear and long-range ballistic missile tests. In August, Seoul confirmed the defection of North Korea's deputy ambassador to the UK, Tae Yong-ho. After that, it was reported that North Korea's vice foreign minister, Kung Seok-ung, was removed from his post and sent to a re-education camp with his family. Most North Korea watchers say there are largely two reasons for the rise in defections.
Externally, the UN sanctions against North Korea are getting stronger. Internally, North Korea is going through a generational reshuffle. When problems arise during the reshuffle, or if there are difficulties bringing in foreign cash, people defect.
Experts also say the recent string of defections indicates the growing instability within the Kim Jong-un regime, and President Park Geun-hye has responding by sending an open message of welcome to those wanting a better life. The number of defectors in South Korea is expected to peak at 30,000 next month. This represents a major challenge for the South Korean government, which will have to find effective ways of helping them adjust to their new lives. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
South Korea is considering implementing a new layer of its own sanctions on North Korea even before the next UN Security Council sanctions are adopted. For a closer look at what the new sanctions might look like and an explanation for why Seoul is rushing to get it done, let's turn to our Kwon So-hwa.
After North Korea conducted its fifth nuclear test on September 9th, the UN Security Council was quick to decide that stronger measures would be needed to curb the North's nuclear development. But it's been more than a month since the new resolution is being discussed.
Well, it took 2 months last time when we had resolution 2270, so I hope it's going to take not that long.
But according to a source Wednesday, if the Security Council is slow to adopt a new set of measures, Seoul could go ahead and act on its own. The source says South Korea is currently considering the possibility of imposing independent sanctions on North Korea before the UN Security Council adopts its new sanctions resolution. Back in March, South Korea imposed its own unilateral sanctions after North Korea's fourth nuclear test in January. But it acted a few days after the UN Security Council had adopted its resolution. According to Seoul's Foreign Ministry Wednesday, the announcement will be made at a time when the sanctions can have the maximum strategic effects while taking the current negotiations at the UN Security Council into consideration.
Although we have already imposed sanctions in various fields, including financial sanctions, marine and trade controls, and entrance restrictions, we're opting for additional sanctions on the pan-governmental level that are more precise and effective.
So what could the new sanctions possibly be? Experts say the measures could include secondary sanctions to close loopholes in any transactions between North Korea and third countries, or could include ways to cut North Korea's diplomatic ties to other nations. Still, other experts say, however, the new sanctions could end up being little more than symbolic. Kwon So-ah, Arirang News.
The South Korean military is planning to strengthen its special forces operations by forming a new unit to target the North's key facilities and its leadership in case of a crisis. According to our Kim Hyun-bin, they'll be equipped with the latest weapons and technology.
Parliament's annual audit of government agencies turned Wednesday to the Army at Kaeryongdae Military Headquarters in Chungcheongnam-do Province. Army Chief of Staff Chang Jung-kyu told lawmakers that the Army plans to establish an independent Special Forces Operations Unit that in a time of crisis will be able to conduct its own covert infiltration missions into key North Korean facilities, including North Korea's leadership headquarters. To enhance its Special Forces capabilities, South Korea's Army plans to secure the latest hardware, including MH-47 series choppers and advanced small arms. The MH-47 series chopper will be similar to the Chinook choppers that are currently used by Seoul and Washington for special ops. The chopper can carry up to 40 fully equipped Special Forces troops and fly some 600 kilometers into enemy territory. It's also capable of airborne fueling and is equipped with state-of-the-art radar that can accurately detect the enemy and its surroundings, both day and night. The Army expects to implement the plan by the end of 2018. And once established, the unit will be able to conduct special infiltration operations into North Korea without support from U.S. Forces Korea or South Korea's Army Aviation Command. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
And now let's turn our attention to the ongoing annual parliamentary audit. One of the central topics at today's session was the corruption allegations surrounding two foundations with questionable fundraising methods. Park Ji-won has the latest from the National Assembly.
The corruption allegations surrounding the Mir and K Sports foundations continue to be the main topic of discussion at the ongoing annual parliamentary audit on Wednesday. While the Parliamentary Culture and Sports Committee grilled government officials to find out if the foundations were given any favors, the Strategy and Finance Committee focused on how the foundations could have raised such a large amount of money from so many conglomerates in just a couple of months. The Finance Committee summoned Federation of Korean Industries Vice Chairman Lee Seung-chul, who allegedly played a key role in raising about $70 million in contributions for the new foundations from a number of conglomerates in less than 2 months last year. The vice chairman answered the summons but said that while he regrets having caused such a controversy, he cannot answer all of the lawmakers' questions because he's already being questioned as part of the current prosecutorial investigation. Opposition lawmakers said the two foundations had also planned to solicit tens of millions of dollars in additional donations from other conglomerates over the next 3 to 5 years. The opposition also raised the allegation that the foundations are little more than a funnel for corporate funds, given in exchange for a guarantee that the government will maintain the current corporate tax rate. The allegations surrounding the foundations have been traced back to Choi Soon-sil, a woman who is said to have close personal ties to President Park Geun-hye and who was reportedly involved in the creation and management of both organizations. The president's office has yet to offer a statement on the matter, and the controversy is likely to come to a head at the audit on the president's office next week. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
President Park Geun-hye met with Costa Rica's President Luis Guillermo Solís this morning. During the summit, they inked 7 agreements, most of which are aimed at reviving or rather revving up economic cooperation between the two countries. In a bid to boost bilateral trade or investment, the two leaders vowed to expedite negotiations for the Korea-Central America Free Trade Deal. If sealed, it'll make South Korea the first Asian country to sign an FTA with the 6 Central American countries. President Park also called on Costa Rica to help Seoul curb North Korea's nuclear ambitions, to which Costa Rica responded it would take a leading role in the region in implementing the international sanctions on Pyongyang. President Solís also said he would make proactive diplomatic efforts to denuclearize North Korea and improve human rights for its people. The protracted economic slowdown in Korea's manufacturing sector is weighing heavily on the job market. The latest employment figures show it's younger Koreans that are having the most torrid time at the moment. Shin Se-min zooms in on the digits.
Times are proving tough as young Koreans are suffering from one of the worst job markets in years. Statistics Korea says the country only added 267,000 new jobs in September from a year ago, bringing the total number of people in work to 26.5 million. The margin of increase slumped back into the 200,000 range in September after popping up by 387,000 jobs in August. The overall unemployment rate stood at 3.6% in September, with failed attempts at landing jobs pushing numbers up.
Seasonal factors likely played a part in the September figures, with large firms holding a lot of their recruitment sessions in September.
The agency says the ongoing government-led corporate restructuring drive of the ailing shipping and shipbuilding industries took a toll on the jobs market. Jobs in the manufacturing sector, which includes the shipping and shipbuilding industries, fell 76,000 on year in September. The monthly figure was also brought down by the losses in the construction and retail sectors. Local construction firms hired 41,000 new employees in September, down from a gain of 71,000 in August. The number of new jobs in the wholesale and retail sector fell to 88,000 last month from the 141,000 hires in August, mostly temporary workers hired in preparation for the Chuseok holiday. The youth unemployment rate fared especially poorly. It stood at 9.4% last month for young Koreans ages 15 to 29. It's the highest monthly figure tallied since 1999 and a gradual increase from the 9.2% in July. Looking ahead, Korea's finance ministry is less than optimistic, saying that the prolonged strikes at major automakers and walkouts by unionized cargo truck drivers are expected to further dent the job market. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Samsung Electronics has drastically revised its earnings estimates for the third quarter, with the new numbers clearly reflecting the impact of losses from its troubled Galaxy Note 7. The tech titan expects an operating profit of 5.2 trillion won, or roughly $4.6 billion for the July to September period. That's down from the estimate of 6.9 billion released last week. Sales were also revised down to just under $42 billion. Based on the new estimates from a year ago, Samsung's operating profit will have fallen about 30%, while sales will have dipped over 9%. The revision comes just a day after the company announced that it will permanently end production of the Note 7 over safety concerns. And staying with that story, of course, they will be able to get refunds or replacements, those who own a Samsung phone or another brand, starting Thursday. The Korean tech titan has also decided to, of course, permanently halt productions. For details on this story, let's turn to our EG1.
Samsung laid out the details of its refund replacement policy after announcing its decision to permanently end production of its Galaxy Note 7 smartphone. Note 7 owners can get a full refund or a replacement device, regardless of the date of purchase, at the store where they bought it starting Thursday. Those who opt for a replacement can exchange the device for another Samsung phone or can choose another phone brand altogether, and they'll be given cash for any differences in the price. People who choose a Samsung device will be given a coupon worth 30,000 Korean won, or roughly $26. The offer runs through the end of the year. It's expected to affect the approximately 500,000 people who own the device in Korea. This comes just 2 months after the Note 7's launch on August 19th, amid reports of the original device and the replacements catching fire. Out on the streets of Seoul, the public expressed disappointment with the Korean tech giant.
My phone is not a Galaxy Note 7, so the whole incident didn't have much of an impact on me, but Samsung has lost credibility with me.
Samsung lost credibility through the incidents. Now, I think a lot of people will reconsider buying Samsung phones.
I don't think it's very bad. I mean, there's problems with other phones as well, so I think as long as Samsung will launch a new phone that is better, I don't think it will affect the image very much.
Although people have expressed disappointment with Samsung Electronics, they pointed out that the Note 7 incidents do not have great impact when they choose to buy the brand's other products, and that to regain its credibility with consumers, the firm can start by putting its best effort into its next model, the Galaxy S8. 이지원, Arirang News.
The World Health Organization is urging all countries to consider a tax on beverages with high level of sugar content. This comes as the WHO observes a special day dedicated to reducing obesity rates across the world. Kim Hae-sung tells us more.
The World Health Organization has backed a sugar tax on soft drinks. The Global Health Group had previously advised a lower sugar intake but stopped short of backing tax measures. But in a new 36-page report released Tuesday, the WHO said raising soft drink prices by 20% or more results in lower consumption and improved nutrition. Around 41 million children under 5 were overweight or obese in 2014, marking an increase of about 10 million over the past 2 decades, while global obesity rates more than doubled between 1980 and 2014 to over 500 million people. The report said rising sugar consumption like sodas and fruit juices is a major factor in the soaring number of people suffering from obesity and related diseases like diabetes. In a statement, Dr. Douglas Betcher, director of the WHO's Department for Prevention of Non-Communicable Diseases, said, quote, "If governments tax products like sugary drinks, they can reduce suffering and save lives. They can also cut healthcare costs and increase revenues to invest in health services." The WHO has advised people that they don't need any sugar in their diets nutritionally and recommended that people keep their sugar intake below 10% of their total daily calorie intake and ideally limit to 5%. Already several countries, including France and Mexico, have implemented a sugar tax. According to the WHO, Mexico saw its soft drink sales drop 6% in 2014 after implementing a 10% price hike the same year. The WHO report also recommends using subsidies to reduce the price of fruits and vegetables by 10 to 30% to encourage people to buy them and boost their nutrition levels. Kim Hae-sung, Arirang News.
That's all from me at this hour. For those of you tuning in from Korea, we have Domestic News Focus up next. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Devin Whiting with your in-depth domestic news. Hyundai Motors decided to extend its warranty on cars in Korea that use its Theta 2 engine, as it's done in the U.S. The Theta 2 engine is used in 7 models, including the YF Sonata and K5 mid-sized sedans. Complaints of the engine suddenly stopping, both in Korea and abroad, have led to suspicions of a possible defect. In the U.S., Hyundai Motors agreed to pay the repair costs for over 880,000 Sonatas and recall Sonatas made in the U.S. from 2011 to 2012. But the company did not apply the same measures in Korea, which has drawn the ire of local consumers. To regain their trust, Hyundai said today it'll compensate local Sonata owners for their repair costs and extend the car's warranty from 5 years to 10 years. The Public Safety Ministries announced plans to strengthen fire safety across the country with the goal of reducing the number of fire cases by 10% over the next 5 years. The ministry will take direct control of fire safety in public facilities like airports and the nation's railroads, and improve safety at care centers for new mothers, children, and the elderly. The plan will also require buildings over 6 floors to install sprinkler systems on every floor, and virtually all cars will have to have fire extinguishers. According to the Public Safety Ministry, the country's fire prevention methods have not improved over the past 10 years, with cases of property damage rising by over 12%. New data show more than 6 million people in Korea are suffering from arthritis. It's a disease often associated with old age. But over the past decade, the biggest increase in arthritis patients has occurred among people in their 20s and 30s. Oh Jung-hee tells us why that's happened and what can be done.
According to Korea's National Health Insurance Service, last year, roughly 6.1 million sought treatment at hospitals for arthritis, an increase of about 40% from 10 years ago. That means 1 in 8 Koreans suffer from the condition, which causes chronic joint inflammation and pain, sometimes so severe that patients can't even sleep. Among men, arthritis has risen by 51%, and among women, it's increased by a full third. But perhaps the most unexpected development was a surge in arthritic young people. Koreans in their 20s saw a 32% increase in cases of arthritis, and among 30-somethings, it rose 22%. Clearly, these patients aren't yet breaking down from old age. Rather, the health insurance service attributed the increase to overdoing it with diet and exercise, and on the other hand, obesity. To prevent the early onset of arthritis, experts recommend keeping a healthy body weight using healthy means, reducing stress on the joints, and developing muscular strength. To do that, they suggest at least 30 minutes a day of exercise by walking, riding a stationary bike, or swimming. 우정희, Arirang News.
And those are some of the stories we're following right now. Thanks for watching. We'll be back at 8 p.m. Korea time. Bye for now.